Good morning, everyone. This is Mr. Tahir Jaber from Ajyal School. Today we'll be covering Chapter 3, Business Organizations. In this chapter, we will learn the different ways to organize a business. Let's consider the following. Let's say you have a new idea of a new product and you need a company to market that product. So you need $5,000 to start the production of that product and for the advertisement of that product. You also need resources to start producing those products. So you need to make a list of those resources and where to find them. When we talk about resources, we already have covered the factor of production, and we said resources either land, capital, labor, or entrepreneurs. In section 1, we'll be covering form of business organization. We'll be talking about the advantages and the disadvantages of these forms. There are three types of forms. The first one, it's called proprietorship. Let's pronounce it correctly one more time. It's called proprietorship. Proprietorship. One more time, proprietorship. The second form, partnership. And the third one is corporation. Let's start with the first one. It's the most common form of business organization, not only in the US, but around the world. Business owned and run by a single individual, so there are no partnership in that type of form. It's the smallest form of business out of all those three, and it has a very little total sale, but the profit is really high. Let's look at this figure. You will see that in blue, the proprietorship, the number of organizations, it means the number of people that open in this type of organization is 71%. The sale of that form is way too little, only 4.6%. But the income is kind of big, 20.9%. Forming a proprietorship, if you want to form that type of business, it doesn't require a lot except for a business license and a small fees. Example of that type of form, a lemonade stand, even the internet, a garage, or renting an office or renting a shared office in one of the buildings. By the way, even restaurants are considered proprietorship kind of business because it runs by an individual and he's the same owner. So let's look at the advantages and the disadvantages of that type of form of business. The advantages are it's easy to start up and manage. Decisions don't require the approval of co-owner, boss, or other higher up because that decision can be made immediately when that problem comes up by that individual. Owner can keep the profits. He doesn't have to divide it between any other partner because there is no other partners. So he keep all the profits. No business income tax. The business itself, it doesn't have an income tax, but the owner, he have to pay individual income tax on those profits. Okay, psychological satisfaction of being your own boss. That's one of the advantages of that type of form. And it's easy to get out of business. It's easy to close that kind of business. Let's see the disadvantages. Owner of the business has unlimited liability. Why? Because he's responsible for all the losses and debt of that business. The difficulty of raising financial capital, the size and the efficiency of it. When you're trying to hire, you always need to hire people for double shifts. So you have one shift, you need to hire people for the first shift, and you need to hire another employee for the second shift. Even stocking enough inventory. You need to always check your inventory for any stocking. It has limited managerial experience. It means the owner, if I want to open a restaurant, I don't have to be a cook. I don't have to have an experience opening a restaurant. That's one of the disadvantages. The difficulty of attracting qualified employees. The problem in here that most graduate students would rather go to big companies rather than that kind of form of business. Limited life, owner dies, quit, or sell the business. That's why it has a limited life. Let's learn the definition that we just covered so far. We have talked about the proprietorship. It's a business owned and run by a single person who has the right to all profit and unlimited liability for all debit of that farm. Unlimited liability, it means requirement that an owner is personally and fully responsible for all losses and debt of the business. Inventory, it's a stock of finished goods and parts held in reserve. Limited life, situation in which a farm ceases to exist when an owner die, quit, or sell the business. Type of partnerships. We're going to talk about the second form of business, which is partnership. Let's talk about the type of partnership. A partnership is a business that is joined by two or more persons. There are two types of partnership. The first one called general partnership, which is the most common form of partnership. All partners are responsible for the management and financial obligation of the business. The second type of partnership is limited partnership. At least one partner is not active in the daily running of the business. It has limited responsibility for the debt and obligation of the business. How to form a partnership? Okay. To do that, you need a legal paper. Okay. It's called Article of Partnership. And this legal paper have to specify the arrangement between partners. These arrangements are how the expected profit or possible even losses will be divided among those partners, the way future partners can be added, and the way the property of the business will be distributed if the partnerships end. It means if they close the business, how those properties will be divided among those partners. There's also advantages and disadvantages of partnership. I want you as a homework to brainstorm some of those advantages and disadvantages of that type of business. The definitions we have covered so far: partnership, un, unin, unincorporated business owned and operated by two or more people who share the profit and responsibility of debt. General partnership, form of partnership where all partners are equally responsible for management and debt. Limited partnership, form of partnership where one or more partners are not active in the daily running of the business and have limited responsibility of debt. We'll be talking in the next lesson about the third form of business, which is cooperation. Thank you for listening. I'll be expecting your homework on Friday between 3 and 6. Thank you for listening.